Welcome to the Dream, Plan, Start, Grow podcast hosted by Allison Turner. In each episode, we interview real, everyday entrepreneurs to learn how they got their start, what challenges they faced and overcame when starting the business, and what successes each has had. Welcome to the Dream, Plan, Start, Grow podcast. My name is Allison Turner. I am your host. The purpose of this podcast is to delve into the entrepreneurial journey and how different types of entrepreneurs got their start. Today we have Jeff Dash, who is part of Dash Travel, which I believe your father started 60 plus years ago. And also he has more recently started Delray Beach Experience. So I want to talk a little bit briefly about Dash Travel because I know you came into that journey with your dad and you've kind of taken it over. I know, does he still come in a little bit?
Oh, my dad's still active at 85 years old.
Still active. So you can be an entrepreneur even in your older age. But how did you, when you first decided to come in with your father, were there any challenges in coming into a family business? Because I know sometimes there's some family strife, or did you guys always kind of get along and have the same vision?
Well, you know, the beautiful thing is my dad created an awesome legacy to start, and I was able to watch it growing up as a kid. And being in the travel business, we always traveled the world, so it was a beautiful thing. So I always realized when I got older, it was something I wanted to consider. So learning from him and just seeing how he was an example, and it was always taking care of the customer and, you know, making dreams come true. So, you know, people always ask why he was always smiling, and it was because the business that he was in made people so happy.
Well, anytime you get to travel, I mean, I'm a huge travel person, and anytime you get to travel for me is a positive. So obviously you guys got it from both sides. You got to travel yourselves because it's probably better to experience some of those places so you can recommend some places.
Absolutely.
And then you also got to make other people happy.
Yeah, and travel was always about the experience and the journey. So it was always exciting being able to create something.
No, that's fabulous. And do you service mainly just people from the South Florida area, or do you service, I mean, are you known in other areas as well?
We have a worldwide clientele, so it's really exciting, and we've got some clients that have been with us for over 50 years.
Wow.
And you know, we've been in business for 63 years in the travel industry.
63 years, and that's got to be hard to do, especially given the pandemic that shut everything down in the travel world for a period of, I don't know, a year plus, depending on which country I guess you're talking about.
Well, you know what? It's the most resilient business in the world. Travel always comes back, and whether it was 9/11 or whether it was 2008 during the recession, you know, travel was the first thing to bounce back because there was such a pent-up demand and people always wanted to be out and active. So, yeah, the last 2 years definitely really challenging, and you know, it gave me an opportunity to be able to think about something new and to be able to create the Delray Beach Experience app, and that was just really great timing, but unfortunate timing. So I was always able to volunteer and give back. So I used to volunteer at the visitor center, and I realized that my dad, who's a pack rat, God bless him, but he's got stuff from 50 years ago from visitor centers in these bags that are sitting with cobwebs on them in the garage. So I said, there's got to be a better way to give information out to when people come to a city. So I got together with a lot of the hotels and a lot of the stakeholders in the community and thought about what was the best thing to bring forward, and then I came up with the Delray Beach Experience app.
Oh, that's fabulous. So how long has that been active at this point?
But it's launched a little over a year ago.
Okay, so that was created right in the middle. I couldn't remember if it was like just before the pandemic or if it was during the pandemic.
It was March of 2021 was our official launch.
Okay, so you did think about it right when the COVID and pandemic hit.
Yeah,
because you couldn't do anything else, I guess.
Yeah, because the idea took a really long period of time to come up with, and then to sketch out, and to plan out, and to develop. So a team of developers are working on it for about a year behind the scenes. You know, so launch was one date, but the development took over a year and 5,000 plus hours.
No, I think that's fabulous, and I think the Delray Beach Experience gives you a great feel for all of Delray, and especially for not only visitors coming here, but for someone like me who's a resident here. I mean, it's an app I can go to and look something up if I need some quick information about our city.
Yeah, an easy handheld device that's free to download, that people could look for happy hours or things to do, places to go. And it's a really great guide of galleries and different activities, monthly activities, annual events. So there's very robust amount of information, not only in Delray Beach, but beyond Delray Beach, including Palm Beach County. So there's a great amount of information for all of Palm Beach County. So, when you do a deep dive into it, there's a lot of information about nonprofits. And part of our goal is always to support nonprofits in whatever we do. So years ago, we came up with a program called Dash Travel for Charity, and it's travel with Dash. Your charity gets cash. We give 25% back of our real profits to any registered 501c3.
Oh, that's great, because I know nonprofits are always looking for ways to kind of source additional revenues, and everyone's competing for the same grants and the same donations and everything, and you see the same letters from different nonprofits that come into your email. I mean, some of them I get once or twice a week, it seems like.
It's amazing.
And I often, no offense nonprofits, but sometimes I get too many emails, so sometimes I just file them away because I just don't have the time and the bandwidth to read them every single time that they come into my inbox.
And we're in the hotbed for nonprofits. Palm Beach County has over 2,500 nonprofits, and Delray Beach alone has approximately 400. So
400 out of 2,500. Yeah, that's
it's a tremendous number.
Almost 20%, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce has a very robust and active nonprofit council. Mm-hmm. There's over 90 members, so it's really great to be able to give them a showcase to show their videos and tell everybody about what they do.
No, I think it's so needed, and I mean, obviously it's a win-win because they can get to potential clients that you wouldn't have had before.
Absolutely.
And then they get 25% of that, whatever the trip costs. That
25% of our profit from the trip. Absolutely.
Good point. Not 25% of the cost. I'm sure the profit isn't that.
I wish.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be retired by now, huh?
100%.
So if someone wanted to start an app, I mean, I have no clue. I mean, I know there's different sizes of apps, but obviously the Delray Beach Experience has really been built out.
Yeah.
What kind of ballpark costs are you looking at to start something like that? Because I know people that are like, oh yeah, I just need to start an app. And there's some like do-it-yourself app things that are out there, which you look at it on your phone and you're like, everything's resized wrong because it's not like mobile friendly. And
yeah, you really need somebody who's skilled and talented to lead the charge. And I'm really a good visionary and really creative about laying everything out. But it takes a full team. And honestly, you're never done developing. There's always a development. There's always something in development. You're always working to listen to your audience. And you're always changing as you hear your audience, and you're always growing with as they think. And there's never an exact science. So cost, it's always ongoing. There's a lot of apps that you could buy, and there's a template, and somebody could plug and play, and it's like really basic and really generic. But the native apps that are really fully customized are really time consuming and really expensive. And just when you think you've perfected it, you're changing something. And a good app, the key is the back-end functionality. Everybody sees the front end because that's the face of the app, but they really don't understand the complexity if you want the right functionality to be able to grow and to actually give people the opportunity to self-manage their own listings. So not that people will do that, but they do have that. They do have that
the capability to do that.
And it's really built to grow.
Excellent. So are we talking like 25,000 and more? I'm just looking for like a ballpark of where you start with something like
You're
this.
You're well over $100,000
$100,000
just to be, starting, and then you're even a lot more than that depending upon what you do.
How much you have to continue to. Obviously, apps have to always continue to update,
and just the monthly maintenance, is significant just to maintain the app, even if you don't do anything, because there's always a lot of back end costs involved.
And I think that's one thing I just want to kind of alert people to is because so often people are like, oh yeah, let's do an app for it, and don't think they realize what the cost is to do a really professional looking app that works across all these platforms, because you've got Apple that wants one thing, and then Android wants something else, and now you got Google phones and whatever the other platforms are out there that
Absolutely.
in the phone section, and they all want something slightly differently. So, the Apple one's not going to work on the Android platform, and there's some, whatever those tweaks are, because I don't know them.
It's amazing. It takes a lot of time to have the right team in place that you trust to be able to run with it. And, sometimes in development, things happen.
Yeah.
And and even with updates, there's always updates with Apple or with Google that for the Android that you have to just do, because they change things on a whim, and all of a sudden they send you notice, hey, you've got 30 days to redo this, and then you got to do it. Otherwise, your app doesn't work, or something catastrophic could happen. So it's never ending. It's always ongoing. But it's exciting to watch something start from nothing and watch it grow. And, data, that's where we are really the kings. We have more data probably than anybody. And, we don't just have downtown Delray Beach businesses. We're out to 441 and,
Nice.
the middle of Delray, and we're representing everybody. So there's a really great listing of restaurants, of, spas, of wellness centers.
Oh, that's great. So what if a wellness center or somebody changes their address? I mean, restaurants are less likely to move, but I know sometimes, a wellness center moves. Do you have to update that, or can they go in and update that? Or
we give everybody the opportunity to go into the back end and provide updates on a timely manner. They can update pictures, they can update videos of their business, so we provide videos as part of their listing. They also could change anything they want at any given time. I've had a lot of businesses that have moved and relocated, and we're pretty in tune with the local community because we know Delray Beach. So we're able to say, oh, by the way, and I'll tell my data person, by the way, you got to change this, you got to change that. And the same thing with places that go out of business. There are a lot of places that go out of business. So we're really diligent and try really hard to update in a timely manner. But like everything else, certain things fall through the cracks. And, if somebody says, hey, by the way, I went to that business and it was closed, just send us a note. And, we apologize in advance for something not being listed correctly. But, we've got over 2,000 businesses listed in our app. So it's very time consuming, but we do our best.
2,000 businesses.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge amount of data to keep up.
Almost 300 restaurants in Delray Beach alone.
I'm going to have to go back in again. I haven't been in for a while, so I got to go back in and scope them out.
Absolutely. Palm Beach County has 150 things to do, places to go.
Now, how do you monetize something like this? Because I know some people think through parts of a business, and they think through, getting started, but they don't really... they think they're going to get sponsors, or they think they're going to get, and obviously just to get sponsors, you have to have a reputation to get sponsors and show downloads and all that wonderful stuff.
Absolutely.
Because who wants to sponsor something and no one downloads?
That's most definitely. And everybody has to start somewhere, and you have to believe and trust and buy in. A lot of times at the beginning, so you create a long-term partnership. So some people, like you said, are more apprehensive because they want to see what they want to see. But the truth of the matter is, by the time they see what they need to see, they're not going to be in the game because everything's going to be so expensive, and they're already going to lose their opportunity. So you really want to start at the beginning with somebody in a new venture if you see that your vision and their and what they're doing align. And if it does, then you got a great match, and you can really do great things together. And honestly, those are the people I want to work with anyhow. I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't believe in what we're doing and doesn't see their value, because I could show their value, and I can bring that to a lot of people that don't have awareness currently of what they're doing. So for us, it's really powerful to be a matchmaker for new clients and new businesses. And the truth of the matter is, you never know what businesses are going to sign up. So even in the infant stage of just getting businesses to sign up, I had a wonderful company sign up, and they were the producers of a World Championship tennis event, the 2022 International Tennis Federation World Super Seniors Team and Singles Championship. And we had 900 players coming from all over the world. And that was because they signed up to be a participant in the app. I called them up and said, I love what you do, we need to meet. And there was a relationship formed. There was, over a short period of time, a lot of trust. And because of just launching the app in the quietest time in the history of the travel industry, I was able to help co-produce an event that yielded over 4,000 room nights.
Wow, That's great.
So, you can never ever expect except, hope that you're going to create good and that what you do creates a legacy for more than just you.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like from what you just said, like mindset's a huge part, and that's one of the things that we talk about a lot on this podcast is the mindset of an entrepreneur. And, because you're going to run into challenges each and every day, and there's always going to be, ups and downs. And if you don't have that, great mindset, or at least can recorrect, because there's going to be down days no matter what. But
not every day is a great day.
Yeah, exactly. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice if it was just like the level playing field all the way up instead of like, so it sounds like, is there something that you do? Is it just more natural for you as far as the mindset? Is there something, if like, for me, I feel like I always have to kind of have work to do it. So, when I get up early in the morning and I have my morning routine and walk and do gratitude and goals and things like that, like that's what kind of helps me set the tone for my day.
Oh, absolutely.
And move forward. So is there something for you personally that helps with, kind of maintaining that mindset?
Yeah, honestly, you have to look at life as the journey, and with all the uncontrollable variables that come into play, you want to just take it lightly. A lot of people take things way too seriously, especially things that they don't control on a daily basis. I'm in the travel business. I put my name and my reputation in people's hands every day. Lucky I've got trusted relationship with vendors for 30, 40 years that have been doing wonderful work. But, you have to control what you do. That's why we don't book airline tickets. Can you imagine booking domestic airline tickets now, and every day you see 1,000 cancellations, 2,000, 3,000 cancellations? So handling the uncontrollable variables the best that you can, and always being even keel has always been what I've done. I've always had great coping skills, and lucky, I was able to be taught them at a young age. And I've always seen my dad, who he's never ever stressed or got flustered about anything. It could be like the worst thing ever, but that's just the way I was taught, just to be even keel. And, like you said, reaffirmation and constantly, being grateful for what you've got going on. And, and I'm up early every day, and, and I stay up late and I read. I spend hours and hours of reading, doing research and data. And of course, you want to it's mind over matter in anything. So you always want to, make sure that you're always being nice and you're always being positive and not creating any negative energy towards anybody. And it comes back a million times over, because what you do is you attract that in your life. And you know what? When you have those like-minded people, you can get that at a higher level that you can never ever get to. Because that me person is a really lonely, shallow journey. But the we, and that's like everything I do is inclusive, and it brings us together to do great things. And now you just have to have the people to buy in, whether it's the Dash Travel for charity, it's set up for nonprofits. 0 startup cost, a turnkey operation where I am a real friend of the nonprofits. I give 25% back of our real profits. A lot of friends of nonprofits, when you peel back the layers, well, you say, I need less friends like you. So, that being said, we're all about being part of a team and giving back.
No, I think that's, two important things you said there. First was the mentorship piece. And I know, you were lucky because obviously you grew up in the business and you grew up with that, your father is the mentor. So, a lot of people don't have that when they first start a business. Maybe their parents, worked for someone else, maybe they didn't, whatever the case is, they didn't have that parental mentorship. And so they're starting a business and maybe they don't have any kind of mentor. So would you recommend someone get a mentor or a coach or something like that
if you're lucky enough to have an angel on your side and have a champion? There's nothing better. Right. The hardest thing is to find somebody who wants to do it just because they're a giving person and because they want to see somebody thrive. So when you can find somebody who wants you to grow and be a better person that's on your team, wow, how lucky are you? That's what everybody dreams of. Mm-hmm. It's just there are very few people who are selfless and so giving, who want to actually put others before themselves. So I was so lucky because I grew up in the business, and I was always bribed by these amazing vacations and trips. And it's like, oh, okay, I can go to UCLA, but and I did. And when I grow up, what do I want to do? Oh, travel. So that's our life.
That's great.
Thank you.
And then the other thing you said, let's see if I remember it now, is the kind of we versus me mentality and almost that law of attraction type thing. So what you put out, you get back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a key piece as well, because especially if you kind of go out to the world in that negative sense, usually that negativity comes back to you. I mean, sometimes I'll see entrepreneurs or just, other people in day-to-day life, and you'll see them all over social media complaining about this, complaining about that, and then all of a sudden something, and not that I ever wish bad for anyone, but something bad happens to them or someone, and I'm like, you just attracted all that right in there, And obviously there's some chances in there too, but it's like, the more you are in that negative energy, the more it comes right back at you.
Oh, definitely. I walk away from clients all the time because we're not a good fit and they don't know how to treat me. It's all about your words. And if you're not kind and you're not nice and respectful of my skills, go knock yourself out and do it yourself. I don't have the time, patience, energy, or hair left to actually, deal with people like that. That's about respecting others' skills and talents. It's like anywhere you go. I'm a professional. It's like you go into a doctor, you go into a lawyer. We all get treated the same, and if we don't, well, it's just not a good match.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that brings up a great point that sometimes the client is not your ideal client. And it's okay to fire a client for the right reasons.
Absolutely, feels good.
Because usually it's those particular clients you spend more energy on, more time on, and more everything on, and they're still never happy.
100%.
And so now you're putting, maybe, and they're usually like the low-paying client too, or at least in my experience, they're the small client that just needs a little bit, and then all of a sudden they're nitpicking on this and this and this, and
set up for failure.
But yet don't want to pay anything more for any of that. So, as I said, it hasn't happened too often to me, which I'm blessed, but every once in a while you have someone that, it's just not the right fit. And it's okay to say, you don't need to take everyone on as a client. That's one of the things I often stress to people, in the coaching world, especially if you're starting a business, and you ask them who their avatar is or their ideal client, and they're like, oh, everyone. I'm like, no. Just because you're selling a t-shirt or whatever you're selling that anyone could wear or whatever that is, anyone could go on a trip.
Absolutely.
But is everyone your ideal client? Probably not. Because some people don't travel internationally, some people don't take cruises, you're not going to buy airlines stuff for them, so there's a lot of, and there's so much stuff you can do online nowadays.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're not for everybody.
No.
And that's why we charge a professional planning fee up front to weed out the people that are not a good match for us.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I haven't been to a travel agent in years, but that's interesting. A professional, so it's like kind of like a concierge fee almost.
Travel management fee for your entire trip from start to finish.
Yeah, oh, that makes sense. I think, that's one of those things that I've learned from a startup side. When sometimes I'll have startup companies come in for branding, and I realized I was spending all this time with them because they didn't really understand what branding was.
Absolutely.
And I was doing consulting or coaching with them, and so I started adding that into my business, my plan and the cost, because I was like, okay, I'm doing it anyway, and you can't like hand them a proposal and then all of a sudden come back and say, oh yeah, now you owe me for this too. That doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So I started putting it into the original proposal because I was spending 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Oh yeah.
With them to figure out like what their brand was, who their ideal client was or is, and all those different pieces, and what colors and everything that because they'd want one color because they like the color. I'm like, maybe that's not the right color for your ideal client. So yeah,
Smart.
I totally understand that. So what are your plans? The Delray Beach Experience obviously is operating how it is now, but what are the bigger plans for that? Do you have a bigger vision than where it is right now?
Yeah, there's definitely a roadmap for the future. There are other municipalities who are certainly interested in creating their own experience, so there have been extensive ongoing conversations with multiple municipalities in the area.
Okay, so you're talking about going, so would there be like a Boynton Beach Experience or something?
Things like that.
Okay.
Could be in the works. Absolutely. Palm Beach County Experience for sure.
Nice, nice. So that's another thing I want to talk to people about is, it's just because you get to a certain place, if your original vision is like Delray Beach Experience, once you get there, obviously you can still enhance that, I'm sure, and still improve that in whatever ways, because certain things may come up and you're like,
Absolutely.
oh, there's another opportunity I could, take advantage of. But then also looking at the bigger piece of, if you want to scale something like that, some kind of business plan, the way to do it is now, a municipality, a county that might have funding.
Definitely. Yeah, tourism master plans are really big these days. So most cities in the area are creating their own master plans, and they really want to enhance tourism and have a bigger, better footprint so people are more aware of what's going on in their area. And a lot of cities just have a website and it doesn't have current or accurate information, and that's the most important, is maintaining the information and keeping it all current. And a lot of cities just don't have the manpower to do it on their own, but they can subcontract those tasks out and create a better experience for anybody who's a local or somebody who visits.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't have the same cost if they subcontract it out.
Absolutely.
Because they don't have to pay health insurance and benefits, all the stuff that
Definitely.
cities pay, and long-term retirement plans and all the pension stuff that.
And we've already developed the technology, so
Right.
really it's just changing the city and putting in their restaurants, their businesses, their things to do. So it really follows the same general model.
Yeah, and so the cost to start probably isn't as high because now you've got the model already in place.
100%. Yeah, it's one startup cost and a licensing fee.
Nice. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know you were going after something like that. So are you going to plan to try and take it outside the state of Florida too? Potentially?
I'd be happy just to master South Palm Beach County or Palm Beach County or the immediate area. But yeah,
I'm thinking
you know.
nationwide. Come on, you could go Europe. You travel. You can tie all that in together. Come on, that's a doable thing.
Let's own Florida first, and then we can own the world.
All right, there you go. I like that. Own Florida first and own the world. That could be a new slogan.
I like it.
Make sure you write that down. No, I think that's interesting because, I always talk to people like you always have to keep planning and you always have to keep, kind of envisioning what that next step is. It doesn't mean you have to do it right then, but at least look ahead and then also be prepared for, the economic stuff. Obviously, I think most people weren't prepared for COVID to hit because no one anticipated a global pandemic.
Absolutely.
Since we hadn't really experienced one in our lifetimes.
And it was amazing. It was a great opportunity to give us more time to develop a bigger and better app. So we pulled back instead of releasing early. We developed for another year and, created just something that was much more powerful.
Yeah, so also taking, making lemonade from lemons or whatever the saying is out there, taking a bad time where your primary business is shut down pretty
100%.
much. Other than you probably still had to field a bunch of calls of like, we need our money back and all those types of calls that were coming in.
Travel therapists for sure.
Yeah. Travel therapist / global pandemic therapist / all that type of thing. But also, using that opportunity to kind of plan the next step in the app, so the startup side of things.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and so it's always thinking, always planning, making sure and I'm sure you had people that you were bouncing these ideas off of.
Oh, absolutely.
Is your dad involved in the app at all?
No, not
No?
really.
He
he said
stays in the dash
we had a whole team sitting on a lot of the initial meetings, whether it was some of the city partners, some just local hoteliers, some local specialty people. So it was a bunch of people who were just sitting in, and I had the different ideas, and it was like, oh, this is great, this could work, and then it was like, oh, this is really great.
Okay, so you got buy-in from some of the key partners in the city of Delray
Complete
first.
buy-in, yeah,
Okay.
from most of the stakeholders.
Yeah,
They thought it was a great idea, but we don't have the money to do it. How are you going to do it? All right, I'll find the money.
I'll fund it and figure out how to fund it. I think that's good because I think that brings up another point of, getting that buy-in before, because a lot of people, start a business, they start a business and they don't figure out if it's if it's something completely new, like this was completely new, even though apps have been around.
Yeah,
and I'm sure
absolutely.
there's similar types of things out there, but
Definitely city guides out there.
Given the high kind of entry fee into this.
Yeah,
definitely. You definitely want some buy-in so people will play.
That was the most important, was doing the due diligence and all the behind the scenes work, before you really go crazy and spend all that money.
Yeah.
Because if it's not a good idea and it's not something that people are interested in, it wasn't going to go anywhere. And part of our Delray Beach Experience app is the VIP membership, which is complimentary to all hotel guests, which really sets us apart and creates great value for when they arrive into town. They've got all these great discounts.
Oh, nice. That's great. So then the hotel lets them know that?
Yeah, when they check in.
So hence the partnership.
100%.
So you always have to kind of keep touching base with the hotels.
Non-stop, continuous.
Yeah,
always.
because I'm sure like the players at the hotels change, and then you got to make sure the new one that comes in
Constant.
knows the same thing.
And we have a virtual concierge. A lot of the hotels do not have their own concierge, so we have a 24-hour-a-day concierge that picks up the phone and helps clients out who are part of our app membership.
That's great. So to monetize this app, obviously, because I know like anyone can download it, so I've got it on my phone, there's no cost to download it.
Thank you.
You talked about the VIP, so the VIP is the discount side.
Yeah, the VIP membership is $97 per year.
Okay.
And there's all sorts of amazing values all around town, whether it's $100 off of a trip or it's a value at a hotel or various restaurants or Silver Ball 1 hour free admission. There's great values that businesses have provided and more coming every day.
To do that VIP side. And do any of the partner side, do they pay at all, like the hotels and things like that, or their sponsors?
Well,
or how?
there are different levels of sponsorship, so the hotels have complete buy-in.
Okay, great. No, and I think that's so important, just to have everyone kind of play nicely in the sandbox together, because I know sometimes that can be hard in municipalities with politics and different things like that. So I think that's, you were smart to get that prior to any kind of investment into this idea.
Thank you.
So if you were going to say one thing that you thought someone wanted to start a business, it doesn't have to be an app, doesn't have to be travel, whatever, just any kind of business. And I always ask this of guests, as we start to come to a close, like one thing that you either wish you had known or you did know going in, and you maybe did know because you had a great mentor of your dad, that really helped you kind of excel in business. What would that be?
The reason for small business failure is being undercapitalized. So, make sure that when you're going to start, that that you might not have any income for quite a long period of time. So if you're going to even invest in yourself and in your business, you got to be able to carry your business for a little period of time. So, you have to expect the unexpected, and you have to, figure out that, I didn't realize I had to do that. And there's always unexpected costs that you never ever thought you had. What about, I didn't know I had to do that, or especially in development, whoa. That's a big expense.
Yeah.
And then, the monthly upkeep. So, you have to do your due diligence. I mean, put all your numbers together. Hopefully, if you're just starting out, you get an SBA business loan, or, there's a lot of different places that you could tap into money, but just make sure you have enough money to, get to the good times.
No, I think that's an important piece because, I'm more of a service business, and, initially we didn't have to have necessarily a lot of space. We didn't have, there were a lot of pieces that we could save money on until we got to that point where investing in, the video studio and the music studio and things like that. But a lot of businesses like the app, you don't have a choice but to invest
100%.
in that business, but if you're going to do it the right way.
Definitely.
And have a high investment cost. And there are a lot of businesses like that where you do need the brick and mortar, you do need certain licenses or, certain types of employees that have certain licenses and things like that.
Very much so.
So I know we had Andrea Trout from Prime IV on, and, obviously they had to have the brick and mortar, plus they had to have RNs and other nurses on staff, and, those come at higher costs than someone that you're going to hire for a fast food restaurant, although some of them are paying well nowadays. But they come at a higher cost because you need those licenses to actually legally run the business.
Absolutely.
So I think that's an important piece. Now, if anyone had any questions for you, either about Dash Travel or about the Delray Beach Experience app or, anything like that, what would be the best way to kind of reach out?
On our website, travelandcruises.com, or the Delray Beach Experience has all my contact information.
Okay. And you have a Delray Beach Experience website too, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you have both the app and the
Absolutely.
website. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Allison, for having me.
Yeah,
A pleasure.
I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us on the Dream Plan Start Grow podcast. Again, my name is Allison Turner. If you have any questions about Dream Plan Start Grow, you can go to our website, dreamplanstartgrow.com, or email at success@dreamplanstartgrow.com. We release these podcasts weekly. You can find them all on the website. You can also find them on the typical audio channels as well as YouTube. And any questions, we are happy to answer, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks for tuning in to the Dream Plan Start Grow podcast with Allison Turner. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Join the Dream Plan Start Grow community by following us on Facebook or Instagram @Dream Plan Start Grow. See you in the next episode.